What's up, gamers? Here we are again. It's your buddy Workshop D&D Hobbyist. This is our recap for the July session. I'm a little late getting this back to you. It's going into the second week of August, and truth be told, I'm about to run the next session here in like an hour. So I was setting everything up, and I was like, "Oh man, I never did my recap." So this is probably going to be a little bit short for a couple different reasons. But the number one reason is because last session we only had two players. So Dayton and Nick were the only two that showed up. Dayton plays the human cleric of the death god Jurgle, and Nick plays the human Lord's Alliance member wizard. And so what I did was I printed out the character sheets out of D&D Beyond. That's another reason why I love to have the campaign and all the characters in D&D Beyond. You can just print them out. They have everything there, including all my notes that I've made in there for safekeeping, and just hand them out. So Nick played Uriel, the half-elf rogue, and Dayton also played Tien, the half-orc barbarian. So each player had two characters, and it was a full-length session. I think we got started a little bit late, but not too bad. And what they were doing in the jungles of Chult was they were heading toward the Needle Bones. So they had cleared out Firefinger, and they were going back to get the rest of the party, and then they were trudging through like everything to get to Needle Bones. So, I'm still using all the daily encounters that have been prepared in that pack from the DM's Guild. I think it's the DM's Companion or Encounters in Chult or something like that. I do have three like side encounters that I've printed out from another publication that I purchased from DM's Guild. One is like a huge construct snake that the party gets eaten by. It's like level 11 to 17, so I'm holding on to that. Another one is there's a dwarf or a gnome that is like collecting samples, keepsakes, whatever, and they happen in on him. And then there's a third one that is you come up on a guy stuck in a snare, and he asks you for help, and you help him, and you run up against like the local tribes, and those are lower levels, the last two. So I'm looking to insert those. I probably won't do that this next session, but I'll probably do it later. So right now what I've been doing is every day by day, as we go through a hex, we've been rolling survival for navigation, we've been rolling survival for foraging, and we've been rolling survival for water gathering. Even though we have a cleric, even though we have experienced guides, we've just been rolling to see how well we're doing. Most of the time we're doing pretty well. We've got a lot of people rolling. It's kind of helping out, and it's making them feel very confident. So probably after the next 2 or 3 main sites, main locations that we go through, I'm going to quit hex crawling, even though that's not really what I'm doing. I'm going to quit hex crawling and probably go to these adventures. So it's like they're the side encounters. So whenever they go from Nangalore to Orlunga, which is like a huge journey that takes multiple weeks, instead of rolling every day and having all of these side counters and different interesting things. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get into recap in the July session. Because a lot of things happened, but they weren't exactly like combat or anything like that. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I think I'm going to use those side encounters instead of the hex crawl. And like I said, I got 3 of those in my pocket, and that'll probably cover, all the stuff, because they're getting pretty close to Norlunga or Nangalore, and then they're gonna probably go to Orlunga and talk to the Oracle, and then they're gonna need to go to Omu. And then after Omu, I don't know that they're gonna come back out. I think they might just continue on deeper and deeper once they're in Omu. So I'm really only looking at a couple more sites. This has actually gone a lot quicker. We had one session we just blasted through multiple sites. So anyway, July. So we're playing with all 4 characters. They go back and get everybody from after Firefinger. They start heading out, and the adventures were very dinosaur centric. So all the encounters that we had were dinosaur stuff. So they found some fruit, and there was a stegosaurus that was eating the fruit, and it was like a fruit that gave you like advantage on disease rolls or something. So they cast like lesser restoration on this stegosaurus, and they collected some of the fruit, and then they realized there was a guy in the tree, and they went up and looted the guy in the tree, and he had a ring, and they were super suspect of the ring and never put the ring on. But the ring was, I forget it was like a ring of animal friendship or something, but it made dinosaurs either love you or want to eat you. So basically herbivores would love you and carnivores would want to eat you, and he basically got trapped up in the tree and died there of exhaustion, I would assume. So they got that ring, but then they were scared of it. They knew something was up. So they had that stegosaurus. They find a triceratops that's like stuck in a root, and they freed it. And they found like a mama triceratops with a bunch of babies. So this was all kind of set up like if you found the ring and put on the ring, then all of these other dinosaur encounters, so you would have all these dinosaurs following you. At one point, they found it's Ubtao fruit. So it's fruit that was supplied by the god, but it's basically a bush of this fruit that was created by the god, and then the god awakened it. So it was sentient, and it could walk around and talk and everything else. And, it's thousands of years old. And the party befriended it somehow. They did something. So it kept coming up that they were friends of Ubtao, and they were defenders of the dinosaurs, and that they were working with the dinosaurs and trying to fix stuff. So it felt very much like the jungle was embracing them and supporting them. It's giving them this fruit that cures disease, and it's giving this Ubtao fruit, which like would sustain you for a whole day, and it traveled with them for a couple of days. It was all very, very good omen stuff. What else did they do? Well, we had all of that, and then, so what ate up most of the session, which was kind of funny, we had all these interesting little side encounters and everything. I think they found a shrine to Ubtao that was covered in beetles, and they ate some of the beetles. There were flying monkeys. They had like interesting little flavor encounters, right? So then they come to this bridge, and it's a Tazmwahaha, right? The Laughing Gorge, or the Monkey Bridge. So I said, they have 4 guides, but Eku, the Coatl guide, was the only guide who really knew that eastern part of the jungle over there, because it was thicker and there's a lot of cliffs and things. And Eku suggested that they cross this bridge, this gorge, and it was like the easiest way to get all the pack animals and everybody from one side of the river to the other safely. And then they make it to this bridge, and the bridge is covered with monkeys, etc., but it's in such a state of decay that even like a 10 or 15 foot section of it is collapsed. Like it looks like no one's been across this bridge in hundreds of years, right? So they're getting their spidey senses up a little bit more for Eku, because they know something's up with Eku. Eku knows too much and is too good of a guide, etc., but they don't know what, they don't know why. Like, they can't really figure it out. So while they appreciate her, and she's told them stories about Omu and how Omu fell out of favor of Ubtao, and then like what the trickster gods were, and then like she kind of just tells campfire stories every night. But the whole idea is that this is building up that knowledge base for the characters. So even later on, if they encounter something, the players themselves may not remember, but I can give them a roll to see if they remember Eku talking about it, right? So I can just throw it out there, and even if they're not taking notes and paying too much of attention, right, I'll read like whole great big blocks from like the wiki and stuff. Oh, that just changed colors. That was weird. So they get to this bridge. They know something's up. They figure out that they need to trace their finger on a maze across the bridge. It's really easy. It's like a DC 10 or a DC 9 to do it. But when you come to a patch that's overgrown with moss or damaged, you have disadvantage. So Wayne, the guy with like a 20 intelligence, the guy who like shouldn't even be able to fail this, goes first, gets out there, completely fails. There's a statue of a Tabaxi warrior in the middle, a jaguar warrior. He comes to life. He starts attacking him. They start attacking him. There's like a huge fight in the middle. And what Wayne did was Wayne was trying to dispel him. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't know that you can dispel a construct. What I made it a really high level DC. It was like a 19 DC. I made a really high level DC that he had to hit to overcome it, or he would cast it, and the iron golem was rolling to save, and it was an easy save. It was something like that. I don't really remember, but I said it. It would stun him. So basically, it would petrify him for an hour if he succeeded. So it would basically like suppress the magic that was animating it. So he was like trying to dispel the animation. But I said, it's a permanent construct. It's not going to destroy it, but it will like stun it. Like it'll buy you some time. And I think, took him 3 rounds. I think the first round he had initiative and failed. The next round, like somebody got jacked, and he cast it again and failed. And then the third round he succeeded. And then the half orc was raged, and basically he was like close to the edge, and he like chucked the golem off the side, or stone golem, iron golem, I think it was stone golem. Chucks it over the side into the river. Doesn't really help that much because they still need to get across the bridge, and there was just a whole lot of, what if we do this? That won't work. What if we do this? That won't work. A whole lot of problem solving and brainstorming, and let's try this plan, and they would give up. And it took a very long time. Eventually, I said that the stone golem reanimated, and it just climbed up one of the pillars of the bridge and took over its position because no one was on the bridge. So they decided that they needed to just go across the chasm without taking the bridge. So like the whole reason they came here was to cross the bridge because it was easy. They gave up on that and did it the hard way. So they went to like the most narrow point, which is basically where they were, and it was a combination of Wayne casting spider climbing and Bo casting water walking. So they cast spider climb and got everybody down to the bottom. Yeah. Got everybody down to the bottom of the gorge, down by the water, and they didn't want to go in the water because they knew it was dangerous. So they water walked everybody across, and then I think they camped out down there, and then Spider climbed back up the other side, and Bo has wings of flying, which is an hour a day. So he used the wings of flying to fly like the PCs across. So they got everybody across in like one of the most difficult and convoluted and time intensive ways, basically. So they got across that one, and then they were traveling to the Needle Bones, and they had another big side encounter, and I don't exactly remember what it was. And then we broke a little bit early, so we started late and we broke early, and that was kind of the whole session. So since then, so the new development is that I didn't know. So Nick, who has moved here moderately recently from Chicago, has been dating someone in Kalamazoo. So he is going to relocate to Kalamazoo because he hasn't been in Grand Rapids that long. So he's going to go to Kalamazoo, which is good because I know gamers in Kalamazoo, and he's a great guy and will be a welcome addition to those circles. And maybe they'll start a once a month group, and I can drive all the way down to Kalamazoo to play with them. Or maybe I can get him and Rich to drive up here from Kalamazoo and play up here in my monthly or something. So we're going to figure it out. But he may not be playing like after October. So again, right now we're in August. So just a few months. So I might need to replace him. I don't know yet. And then Connor has missed a couple, and I couldn't tell if Connor was having fun, if he wanted to stick around. Again, he's the one playing Uriel the Rogue, who I made for Mike. So he's not playing a character that he made himself. I was concerned maybe that prevented him from being invested in it. Maybe he's just got a lot going on. I don't know. So I was kind of looking to shore that up. To replace him in case he didn't want to play anymore. But turns out, like today, I got a text from him. I was expecting it was a text saying that he wasn't coming, but it was a text from him saying that he got in late. It was like 4 a.m. That he was out with friends and that he might be late depending on when he got up and how bad he felt, but he was coming. He wanted to come. He loved the game, blah, 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 blah. So I think I'm probably just reading that wrong, maybe. But in preparation of those two, and Gabe, he's only been to one session. He missed a session. He's coming to this next session, to the August session, in just an hour or so. So I think my own insecurity is whittling away at me, and I'm expecting people to quit, and I'm expecting to need to replace people, which could very easily just be my insecurity. It seems like everybody really enjoys the game and it is happy to try to fit it into their schedule, which, is delightful, but I don't know. My insecurity doesn't allow me to accept that. So I went back out into Reddit and back out into LFG, kind of like I always do. And I'd found someone who said that they played online and they played in real life, and they ran either one game or two games. They were running games online, through Roll20 or Owlbear, Rodeo, what have you. But they were tired of DMing. They needed to play. They needed more Dungeons and Dragons in their life. They needed less responsibility and prep time and more beer and pretzels. And I was like, awesome. So I reached out to them. They were very, very interested. I met with them, and then today will be their first session with the group. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Also, a younger player made a drow druid. I built a huge elaborate backstory. In the interest of keeping this one short, I will tell you that after the next session. We'll see how it goes. So then I can give you the full introduction and background and how everything went. But I'm interested in the character. I like the backstory we cobbled together to add some depth and some motivation. I think they're interested in a little more world building and a little more flavor and a little less mechanics. So I'm hoping that they're a good addition to our little group. and kind of help offset maybe some of the vibe that's there. So we'll see. But that means today I have 5 players, which I really don't. Nick called off sick. He said he woke up today feeling bad. Who knows? COVID is terrible up here. So I urged him to get a test and feel better soon. So I'm going to have 4 players. One of them will not be the wizard. So I may not even play Nick or Wayne. I may just say Wayne caught blue fever in his bedroll the whole time. Yeah, I don't know. Haven't decided. I'll ask the group what they want to do. The other bummer is that it is storming today. So we will not be playing in the backyard, even though it's gorgeous and it's perfect for playing outside. You know, it's just West Michigan. So you're going to get storms once every 2 weeks, no matter what. So we're getting it today during our playtime. So I think we're going to be in the living room, might be on the back porch, maybe in the backyard if the storms don't hit us. We'll have to see. But I have big hopes. They are finishing the journey to the Needle Bones. They're going to check that out. It's basically a big sinkhole with a little shallow lake full of piranha and a dead dragon, like a dragon skeleton. The idea is that they go in there looking for the dragon horde, and there's really isn't one. There's like a little secret compartment with some treasure, but it's really not a whole lot. It's just kind of the quest. It's the location for the guides that they have, the foppish noble and the halfling, with the farting triceratops, which we said that the druid knows how to take care of the triceratops, so the triceratops doesn't fart anymore, right? It was farting because they kept feeding it fruit. They were feeding it people food instead of letting it graze on leaves and grass, which is what triceratops should eat. So it was too rich. Bacteria was out of control, right? So they've explained all of this to the guides. Like the whole party has this triceratops that's no longer farting, whatever Zongo or whatever its name is. So, while it was great comic relief during the races, all of that's fixed, and they feel very, very good about it. Tien specifically feels good that he's taking care of this Triceratops that was in quite a lot of distress. So that's very good. So they're going to go to the Needle Bones. Hopefully, I don't know what they're going to do about piranha swarms, if they even care. If they're going to be like, screw this, we're not going in there. We'll have to see. After that, the options are Curse a Ball. At Firefinger, they saved an Aarakocra, and Aarakocra flew home to Curse a Ball. So they may want to go to Curse a Ball first. It's on the way to Nangalore. Also, that's kind of what I'm hoping they'll do. If they go to Curse a Ball, then they can hear about the Ritual of the Four Winds that'll give them flight for 3 days. So I think the idea is that they go to Curse a Ball, they hear about that, they hear about the Black Lotus component that they need to perform that ritual. They go to Nangalore to collect that black orchid for the ritual. They know about Nangalore, but they don't know a whole lot about it. So they go to Nangalore, they either get the lotus or they kill the Medusa. I don't know. They return to Curse a Ball, they perform the ritual, they fly to Oralunga, and then they fly back to Omu. Maybe. I don't know. That seems to be the direction the quest is going right now. I just don't know. It's hard to say. These guys, you never know what they're going to do. They're pretty creative. So much for a short video. We're up to 24 minutes. I think that's probably good enough. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. But otherwise, I think we'll try to maybe do this video again tonight. We'll see how much brain juice I have left. But until then, thanks for watching, and game on.